Well, friends, today we observe the Feast of the Epiphany. It is the end of our Christmas season. Now, we clergy types are fond of saying that Christmas isn't just one day, it is a feast of 12 days. And now we're coming to the end of it. Now, I also know, though, in modern culture, that really the Christmas season begins the day after Thanksgiving, right? And it runs for just over a month. So long before we get to this day, the 12th day of Christmas, all the gifts have been opened, many of the decorations have been put away, and frankly, the season of joy has deflated a little bit. But here we are. Here we are. Now, don't get me wrong, I think it is important for the church to be countercultural sometimes, but I think we've probably lost this battle. But here we are to continue to celebrate this wonderful feast of Christmas. In the Gospel of Matthew, we are reminded of the true meaning of Christmas. Jesus comes into the world to show us the incredible potential for humankind. It is that startling reminder that we need to hear again and again that as individuals, we have the potential to do as much as Jesus did to bring light and hope into the world. Now, the passage we heard from Matthew's Gospel today outlines two kingdoms in conflict. Jesus represents the divine kingdom, one rooted in hope and love, and Herod represents the human kingdom, one rooted in power, fear, and violence. The message is clear. The battle between the human kingdom and the divine kingdom has begun. And as we consider the characters in today's story, they are forced to choose between light and dark. Would we be willing, like the wise men, to listen to God's message in that dream and risk their own lives by defying Herod's wishes? Would we be willing to let go of fear, like the fear that Herod feels as he considers a kingdom that might not be under his control? I think a question to consider this week as we begin a new year, as we get back to our normal routine is, how are we operating in this human kingdom? What would we need to do to let go of some things and embrace the divine? Herod has really become a caricature of power and corruption. But we all know that we each can give into fear and take measures sometimes to protect our way of life. The human kingdom that Matthew describes is defined by hypocrisy, scheming, and even mass murder. It's a kingdom dominated by anxiety and worry. God's kingdom is shown to be full of hope and defined by acts of mercy and love. God's kingdom is depicted in the innocence and the vulnerability of a newborn child. Oh, and we know that the battle between dark and light continues. But even in the darkness that we see around us, there is light to behold. Even as we hear the latest news from the White House, what was it this morning? Invasion of Venezuela, perhaps, or eliminating funding for hungry people. There are still glimmers of hope around, but I do have to admit you have to look pretty hard to find them. You may know that every year on the Feast of the Epiphany, for the last few years anyway, we retire the candles of light from the Children of Light altar. The Cathedral has been remembering young people who have been killed through violence for many, many years, long before I came here to serve. Someone at 8 o'clock thought maybe it's even as long as 30 years ago that Van Gardner started the tradition. Each week, somebody checks the homicide report. Is something that I've been doing lately. And it is a strange experience, searching through the list, checking the ages of those who have been killed. And I get a real sense of relief when I see that no one new has died. And then, of course, the opposite is true. When I learn that a young person has been killed, my heart sinks and breaks a bit. And after a few deep breaths, I say a prayer for them and I say a prayer for their families, and then update the Sunday prayer list where we will name them and pray for them and light a candle. Notify the altar guild so they know to have a candle ready. Let the vergers know to be ready to light that candle when the prayers of the people come. It's a solemn practice that we have been doing each and every week for maybe 30 years. Search the list, identify the victims, pray for them by name, and then light a candle. And then these candles stay at the altar in the back, the Children of Light altar in the back. And we do that so throughout the year we will remember. I don't have to tell you that Baltimore is a big, complicated city. Homicides happen here. But I think our Children of Light ritual helps us to not get desensitized to what these deaths mean. These are children under the age of 18, young and innocent lives that are cut short. So we try in our small way to raise up these young people and to be agents of peace and justice, be advocates for measures that can protect the lives of children. We try to bring light into darkness. Well, this year we mourn the loss of 4 young people. Cameron Kelly, who was age 16. Micah Comegis, age 6. John Lewis, age 15. And Michael Hitchens III, age 14. Last year, in 2024, we mourned the loss of 15 young people. And the year before that, 24. And I've heard that in past years, as many as 40 or more. So there's both darkness and light in this. We mourn the loss of these 4 young people. Their lives were cut short. Their lives were stolen from their parents and their families. But the glimmer of hope is that 11 fewer children died this year than last year. 20 fewer died than 2 years ago. My friends, this didn't happen by accident. The Baltimore Police Department, the mayor's office, the city schools have been implementing changes and reforms. And I think you can draw a line directly from what they've been doing and what is happening on the ground. One of the brightest glimmers of hope is the overall homicide rate in Baltimore is also going down. Still not low enough for sure, but going in the right direction. 133 people died by homicide this year. 202 in 2024, 262 in 2023. So friends, when agents of darkness say that crime is up and describe cities like Baltimore as hellholes, well, these numbers tell a different story. That's the story we want to focus on. So in a time when there is very little good news to celebrate, please focus on this. Baltimore is safer because people like us are demanding better from our schools, from our public safety officers, and from our city leadership. People are working together to make this happen. We need to continue to spread the light and oppose agents of darkness. Not by stooping to their level and playing by their rules, but by being people of light and peace. And by working together to bring positive change into the world. It is possible. It is happening. Even in these dark times, we can take a different road. Amen.